Hey, what's up, guys? This is episode 4 of State of the Market. Once again, we're back, and I have Ben Bell here on hold. I'll bring him up in a minute. Once again, the reason for this live stream every Thursday is if you guys have any questions about the market, what's going on in the Atlanta market or anywhere else in the United States for that matter, if you have questions about purchasing a home or loan questions for Ben, real estate questions for me, hop on and ask us a question, and we can answer you in real time. So I've got Ben Bell here once again. Ben is with the Bell Mortgage team. Thanks again, Ben, for being with us.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
Good to see you. How's your week been so far? Ben, you still there? Did you freeze up on me?
Did I freeze? You freeze?
No, you froze for a second. How's your
am I there?
You're here now, I think. How's your week been so far?
Doing great. Doing really good. So I'm just working on a few files and talking to people about what's going on out there in the world of mortgage and what to expect the next couple of months.
Great. How many new mortgages did you get this week?
2
new ones this week. Okay, so what kind of interest rates are you seeing right now?
Mid fives for sure.
Okay.
For these guys, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
like we talked about. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, we definitely went ahead and locked them up just because we just don't know what the next couple of weeks is going to bring. Tomorrow, they're going to come out with the inflation numbers. So they're expecting that to hopefully be level, meaning it hadn't gone up or down. So we'll see. Hopefully to go down a little bit. That will definitely help the bond market. And then next week, the Fed is back in their meeting, and they've already said that they're going to go up another 50 basis points in the Fed fund rate. So
okay.
But I'm really not worried about that. I'm not really worried about the one in July either. They already said they're going to raise in July again. They haven't really said how much they're going to raise it, but probably expecting another 50 basis points. And as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that's already been priced into what you're seeing on the streets today.
With mortgage
rates. Yeah,
right.
So, and it could come down. So,
okay, cool. So, just because they're going to raise their rate, like we talked about before, that doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage rates are going to go up. They could, in fact, go down.
They could, in fact, go down. So, and we've seen that plenty of times. Well, pretty much every time. I wouldn't say every time. That's being a little aggressive. But anyways, they tend to trend lower.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, once again, so what we're going to talk about today, and what we have as the title for this live stream today is the summer forecast for 2022, and we talked about that a little bit last week, kind of what we're seeing coming into the summer and what we expect to see heading into fall. So that's what we're talking about today, and Ben is also going to talk about like what he's seeing or what they expect to see on the mortgage side. For the most part, I mean, I think that, I have a lot of buyers, and I know you talk to people every day too, who are expecting that home prices are going to go back down, right? That they're maybe waiting to buy until home prices go back down. And, what we talked about last time and what I've said over and over and over again is that's not going to happen anytime soon. In 2000.
Yeah. And I don't see it either.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't see homes depreciating.
A lot of us who are, I say younger generation, but, we were, kind of coming up through the 2008, like in the recession, and kind of coming into the job market during that time. And I think that's what a lot of buyers today, a lot of millennial and Gen Z buyers now are thinking about, is they're expecting that that's going to happen, that we're going to see this like 2008 crash again, and we're going to have $50,000 homes again, or at least we're going to see some, aggressive depreciation. And there's really no reason why that would happen. The reason why that happened, as we talked about before, in the market, was because that recession was driven by lending practices and other things, and they ended up causing people to go into foreclosure. We're not seeing mass foreclosures right now.
No way.
We still have
foreclosures. Sorry, but foreclosures at their lowest level in years right now.
Right. Yeah.
And people have safely come out of forbearance, out of the CARES Act. There's just so much equity in people's homes. There's no reason for them to file or even try to foreclose on a home, because they can sell it and actually make money versus foreclosing.
Right. Yeah. So what we're seeing today, the reason why home prices and home values are going up so quickly and have gone up so quickly is just basic supply and demand. In 2008, we had an on top of people not being able to pay, or because of people not being able to pay for their houses, we had this influx of inventory, and also nobody wanted to buy because of the recession. So that caused housing prices to dip, to go way down. Right now, our inventory is so low, historically low, that until builders can catch up with that demand, we're not going to see any kind of drastic change in home prices. Now, that being said, right now we are experiencing the beginning of a shift, and what we're seeing right now is a cooling off in the market. So we're not seeing a shift as in we're going from a seller selling to a buyer's market, but we're seeing a cooling off. And this summer, we expect to see that gradual cooling off continue. Wouldn't you agree, Ben?
Yeah, I think so. 100%, I agree. And as you say, you're seeing it now. I mean, days on market's a little bit longer. So, I mean, I don't see, as you just pointed out, I don't see anything that's going to depreciate home values at all, because there's still a pretty strong demand out there.
Yeah. And once again, guys, anybody who comes on, if you have a question, post a comment. If you post on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, we can respond to them right here in real time. So one of the positives now, even though for home buyers, this is a big positive, even though home prices are going to continue to increase, they're not expected to continue increasing at the levels that they have over the last year.
Right.
So, and this is, I mean, in preparing for this episode, we looked at articles with information from CoreLogic, from Forbes, from US Bank, from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and all of these real estate experts, Zillow, Redfin, all of their chief economists and things, they all agree with basically the fact that we're still going to see home appreciation, but it's just going to be slower. Now, to give you a little bit of understanding of that cooling off of home value appreciation, historic home value appreciation in the United States is around 5.5%, 4.5%. That's from 1968 up to the 2010s. That was typical average over the years, 5.4%. Now, from 2021 and from 20 to 2021, we saw an appreciation in Atlanta of around 18%. And so that's pretty standard for the rest of the United States as well. And some parts of the U.S. and even some neighborhoods of Atlanta saw even into the 20% range for appreciation. So when we say cooling off, what we're looking at is getting back to, we're not looking at, potentially any depreciation, but more a cooling off to get back to that level of 5.5% average appreciation. And that's even to get back to those levels is probably going to be into maybe 2024 is what a lot of experts are saying. So for this summer, we're looking at a cooling off of, getting back to like more of a standard appreciation.
It's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
is there a reason why a house needs to appreciate 20%?
Right. Yeah. And, getting back, I had a quote here that was really good. That was the market may be heading back to sanity.
It needs to.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing this summer, so because we're talking about what's going to happen in the next couple months, is unfortunately, like we talked about last week, some buyers are going to be taken out of the market. Some buyers, because of rising interest rates, will no longer be able to afford the house they were looking for. They won't be in the market anymore. Some homes are going to sit on the market a little bit longer. So because of that, buyers who are still in the market can take a little bit more time this summer home shopping. So I think that's what that's really what we're going to be looking at this summer. Is we're not talking about everything switching over, but if you were shopping last summer and maybe you kind of held off through the fall and winter and spring, and you're still shopping, it's going to be a little bit easier for you this summer than it was last summer as far as competition goes and what your strategies have to be in the market.
Yep, should be.
So, all right, Ben. So a question that I get a lot, and I know that you get a lot, is if interest rates are high now and potentially they're going to go back down at some point, maybe sometime next year, they'll get back down to that like 3 or 4 range. What do you think? What do you think they may go back down to?
What I'm hoping for, just for a healthy market, I think a healthy market is like a high 3, low 4 interest rate.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So again, like, do interest rates really need to be 2%? And does appreciation really need to be 20%? Like, it's just, we have to, the past 2 years has just been so inflated anyways. Well, as what we're dealing with now, right? With inflation, somehow we got to get back to just a balanced economy on normal, sustainable growth.
Yeah.
You don't do that with 20% appreciation. You don't do that with 2% interest rates. That's not a healthy market.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see interest rates in that high 3, low 4 mark. I think it's a lot more affordable then. And let's go back to that 3 to 5% yearly appreciation on home values.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Back to that question, what do you tell buyers when they say, interest rates are too high right now, I'm going to wait until they get back down to that 3 or 4 range, maybe next year sometime?
So the number one, we have to show them the cost of waiting, because if, let's say, home values do not slow down in appreciation, then they're going to be buying a more expensive home down the road if they're looking to buy that same size of home, right? The home's going to be more expensive. So even if rates come down, let's say 1%, you're still buying a home that's $50,000 more than what it was 6 months, 8 months ago. And so the cost of waiting, when we put it on paper and we show them, hey, here's the cost of waiting, that opens their eyes into, oh, okay, let's go ahead and let's bite the bullet now. Go ahead and let's deal with that monthly payment. We can afford it. We can budget correctly. Down the road, we will refinance to that lower interest rate and get our payment where it needs to be. Right. And that's where just the education comes in on my side and explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other thing that we talked about, I mean, as far as buyers, we're talking about first-time home buyers, somebody who is living in an apartment or renting a house right now. And I think you posted this, and I've seen other real estate agents posted this as well. When referring to interest rates, the interest rate on a rental is 100%. So if your comparison is the fact that you're paying 100% interest on your apartment, that compared to 5%, obviously there's no comparison, right? It's a way better deal to own and to start building equity
And
right now.
and here's the deal: your rent goes up every year.
Yeah.
At least a 30-year mortgage is fixed for 30 years.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what your monthly payment's going to be. You know that money's going towards principal every month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope that values appreciate.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
if you look at equity gained plus appreciation, it's a win-win over renting.
Yeah.
If you are able to buy.
Absolutely. And I mean, that is like, the thing you said about locking in, having your price locked in, or your payment locked in. I mean, really, that's the biggest part of it. And that's what I always say to people, like, if, budget out for what you can afford on a monthly payment, and imagine you get to lock that price in for the next 30 years, I mean, and then you're building equity, like you said, and everything, but you don't have to worry about finding another place next year or 2 years from now because the rent went up.
Exactly. And it is unaffordable, right?
Yeah.
And let's be real. You're not going to be in that home 30 years.
Right.
So, start gaining appreciation, start gaining some equity, and then from there, take that equity and put it towards the next home, and then do it again. Because, everything that we see, and Tyler knows this as well, is that, the average American these days stays in a home 7 years. Okay. So every 7 years, somebody's moving.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. What we're looking at right now in as far as like the summer coming up, and what I think buyers can expect is we are going to see some cooling off. So if you've been thinking about buying, you've been holding off, like, now might be the best time to get in the market and see what's out there, because you may have more competition if you're able. You may have less competition in the market right now if you're able to. As far as sellers go, I mean, I've talked to a couple sellers recently who they're concerned that they maybe missed the mark, that it's already passed. And somebody said today, actually, at a listing appointment, somebody said, I wish we had jumped in when the market was hot. And I mean, the truth is the market is so much hotter now than it was in 2019 heading into 2020. I mean, we're still in a very, very strong seller's market. It's a little bit less competitive than it was a year ago, yes, or even the beginning of this year, but we're still in a very strong seller's market. So trust me, you have not missed the mark. I mean, we'll get back to that inventory thing that I bring up all the time, and I went over the charts before. We're at 1.5 months of inventory right now. That is, when we talk about a balanced market, I think Ben mentioned a balanced market before. A balanced market would be around 6 months of inventory. That balance means we're not in a seller's market or a buyer's market. It kind of goes both ways, right? Well, if 6 months of inventory is balanced, we're only at a month and a half. We are very short on supply, which still gives sellers the upper hand. We're still in a strong seller market.
How long did it take us to get to the lowest levels of inventory?
You know what? I will pull that.
I just want to know, like, when was the last time we were at 6 months of inventory?
I mean, no, honestly, since I've been a real estate agent since 2015. We haven't been at 6 months of inventory here in Atlanta. I've been a real estate agent. So the highest point,
and I'm pretty sure in 2015 it was a buyer's market, even at whatever those numbers were, right?
Let's see.
I can't remember.
Okay, so 2015. Here, I'll share the screen. I don't know. It's going to mess everything up. Okay. 2015. Yes. Beginning of 2015, we were, not at 6 months, but we were at 4 months of inventory. And then it sort of steadily dropped all the way into, 2017 was where we got around, or 2016 was where we got around that like 3 to 3.5 months of inventory area. And that was where from 2016 all the way to 2019, we were at that 3.5 months of inventory mark. And that was like perfect. I mean, there were multiple offer situations. Like on my listings, we would have, on good listings, you would have 5, 10, offers on a property. But most of them, you get 1 or 2 offers on it. Buyers are competing sometimes, but not always having to compete as hard. And then it was from March of 2020 was the highest level most recently. I'm sorry, April of 2020. Inventory was at 2.9%, so almost 3%. And then it just dropped off. The lowest level was March of 2021, so about a year later. And that went all the way down to 1 month of inventory. And we've been hovering around that 1 to 1.2 months of inventory since then until, recently in the last month, it sort of started ticking back up a little bit. So it fell off. Like if, looking back at that chart, it fell off from March, we're at 2.9, or April, we're at 2.9 months of inventory. That was 2020. I mean, it just fell. It just dropped within just a matter of about 6 months. It just fell off. So anyway,
I can't remember the number. Yeah, but I can't remember the number. But I heard earlier in the year when the Atlanta Home Builders Association met. I think it was in January or February. But they didn't build any homes forever at the pace that they should have in Metro Atlanta. And they were saying some crazy number, like we're like 8 to 10 years behind on building.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a huge discrepancy on the homes that they should be building versus what they did build. And it's
right,
going to
exactly.
take a very long time to get caught up, if they get caught up.
Yeah. I mean, and part of that because a lot of builders went out of business after the crash in 2008.
Yeah, and maybe some of their institutions where they lend or borrow money from, where they were credit tight and they were scared to lend money to builders because they got burned. I think there's a lot of factors on why they could or couldn't build at a steady pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that chart, and one of the things that it showed was that, like, I think it was like from like the early 1900s up to like 1960 or something like that, like more homes were built than the 60 or 70 years since then. It was like we just sort of, which is crazy because the population has exploded, but
especially in Atlanta.
We just haven't been building enough homes.
Because our population is going to continue to grow. And that's the really challenging part that really people don't think about is like how many people are moving to Metro Atlanta on a monthly basis,
right? For
work. They're moving from the north, whatever the situation is. There's a lot of people moving into that Atlanta MSA.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I saw, and I think that's why home prices here in Atlanta, like we're on like the top 5 list of I think the AJC wrote this article. It was like the top 5 list of overpriced cities in the United States, which I kind of take offense to because I think Austin was on that list too, and Boise, Idaho, which was
Nashville.
A lot of people from the Bay Area moving to, but overpriced is a derogatory term. I feel like, I think that, the reason why the prices are going up here is because, like you said, so many people are moving here, and that keeps demand high. Yeah. There's so much development happening all over the city. I mean, not only, individuals, buyers are moving here, but also businesses are moving here. Google, Microsoft,
Right.
all this, Facebook, all these big corporations are moving in.
And what's that electric truck that's going out on the east side of Atlanta, between like Newton County and Morgan County? That was it, Riven or whatever?
Oh, are they putting the factory for that over there?
Yeah,
Rivian?
yeah,
Well, that's cool. I want one of those.
me too.
Looks like we got a couple folks on here. If you guys have a question, feel free to post it, Facebook or YouTube. I think LinkedIn is maybe not letting us do the comments right now, but feel free to leave us a comment and or a question. Happy to answer any constructive criticism, whatever it is. That's basically all I had for today. I think we can hang out for another 4 minutes or so and see if anybody comes on. I want to make this, 30 minutes every day. So anybody who's watching, or not every day, every Thursday, we're going to be here to answer questions for this 30 minutes. So you guys come on and ask us whatever you want. The basic gist of today is that this summer, the summer forecast is, if you're still in the market, and you're looking to buy, the market coming up this summer for buyers is going to ease up. It's going to be a little bit less competitive than the market has been in the last few months. And if you're looking this year and you also were shopping last summer, it's going to be less competitive than it was last summer. We're going to see slightly slower home value appreciation through the summer and into next year. That doesn't mean that prices are going to drop. But if you are looking right now, you may have a little bit easier time shopping for a home right now than you did a couple months ago. And once again, for sellers, the forecast for sellers is we're still in a very strong seller's market. So if you're thinking about selling, now is still a very good time to sell. You did not miss the mark. There's still a lot of buyers in the market. Inventory is still very low. It's still very competitive. Some of the buyers who were in your price point may not be there anymore. So you probably aren't going to see the 10, 15, 20 offers that you were seeing before, that we saw last year, but still a very competitive market and still definitely a seller's market.
For sure.
Ben, do you have anything to close us out?
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait to buy. So
yeah,
I think interest rates will level out. I think by the end of the year, I think we'll be low fives, high fours, pretty steady. Yeah. Only really interesting thing, June, July, they're going to raise the Fed fund rate. So we'll see we'll see how the bond market reacts to that. The only really other exciting news that we'll see from the Fed is, they're tapering of what they're trying to, ease their balance sheet. So they're going to stop buying as much mortgage-backed securities as they are. So we'll see who's going to be buying those. I was with some pretty smart people on Monday, and China used to be a big buyer of mortgage-backed securities, and they're not buying anything right now. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to step up and start buying these mortgage-backed securities if the Fed stops buying what they've been buying. So,
yeah. I mean, that's, one last thing is, as it relates to interest rates. I think you said this earlier too, and you posted something about like historic interest rates as well. And what the crazy thing is that even though rates are over 5%, historically, that's still very low. And I think buyers got so spoiled on these 2% interest rates and low 3% interest rates that now they're shocked. They're sticker shock on these 5% rates that are actually historically still very low. Right? We even talked about. Yeah, go ahead.
100%. Yeah, they're still low. I mean, the problem is, and I use this all the time. I mean, when people, so let's say Opus One, nice bottle of wine. Let's say you buy that at a restaurant, it's $500, or let's say you go buy it anywhere and it's $500, right? For a bottle of Opus One. When you get used to buying a bottle of Opus One at $250 a bottle, once it goes back to $500, it's kind of sticker shock and people get a little upset, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just you got to put it in a different perspective. And I'm not saying that 5.5% is you know is great by any means. With where home values are right now, it is really tough on some people because,
Mhm.
be honest with you, wage growth has not caught up with the price of homes.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's what priced a lot of people out in the past 4 or 5 months is wage growth. We
Mhm.
really haven't seen, even though unemployment in our, everybody's still, I think, hiring. I don't really know. I don't really pay attention to that
I
a
mean,
whole
I
lot.
see those "we're hiring" signs everywhere I
Yeah.
go.
So
Yeah.
I don't, unfortunately, I don't think wages has caught up to mortgage interest rates and home prices. So
Oh, interesting. That's surprising to hear. It seems like everybody's, lately has just been had a lot of expendable income. But yeah, I get that, especially with the interest rates going up.
yeah, and I think it's probably depends on the occupation, right? I mean, if it's somebody we just closed a couple weeks ago, or is it um, somebody who has a teacher, you
Mhm.
know, they're underpaid, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, Ben, it's been 30 minutes. It was good
Yeah, man.
hanging out with you. Thank you to anybody who came on, and we'll see you next week. One
We'll see
thing,
you Saturday.
Saturday, yes, the Summer Beer Fest in the old Fourth Ward Park will be there, and I don't have them with me, but we have these really cool koozies to give out. So you guys come over there and get one and hang out. It's like $35 for a ticket to the festival. I think they said 150 beers and like, I don't know, a bunch of wine too. It's supposed to be a really cool
So,
thing, and it's in
are
the
you going
old
to have
Fourth Ward
150
Park.
beers?
What's that?
Are you going to have 150 beers?
I don't think I will, but I challenge you to.
No way. No
All
way.
right. All right, man. I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
Have a
man.
good one.
That's it.
Later.